Доброго ранку.
Good morning, dear participants, dear invited guests, and mass media representatives. Thank you for joining us today. We're happy to welcome you at the presentation of the Cities Competitiveness Index today. And first, we will have discussion and short interventions from the invited participants. Then we will allow you to ask questions. Then we will discuss the how this year's results compares with the previous year's results. And now our participants, Mr. Bilyanskiy, Minister, Chief of the Department of Competitive Policy from the Ministry of Economy, Ms. Kim Kimai, Deputy Director of the Economic Growth Office of USAID in Ukraine, then Ms. Oksana Kuziakiv from the Institute of Economic Research, and I am Arseniy Polozhiy, advisor in Regional Competitiveness Program from USAID. So I give first the floor to Mr. Oleksandr. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank to the USAID program, Competitive Economy of Ukraine, and due to them, a big team of the project and all the stakeholders had carried out the research. So we covered small and medium-sized businesses, creation of new jobs by those businesses, and this information would allow to develop a more informative policy, more well-grounded, founded policy in the economic area. And also this would allow us to assess the competitiveness of the enterprises. That's why we have been supporting this program, and also are supporting the dialogue between businesses and the central executive bodies. Many cities and towns in Ukraine have already joined this survey, and the survey is carried out via questionnaire, which is disseminated and responded by the cities, and then the rating is made, which allows to understand the best and major obstacles to the development of competitiveness in cities and towns. For investors, this rating, this index, will allow to understand to which cities, towns they wish to invest, and will allow them to take more informed decision about real situation in those places. Thus, we will reflect competitiveness, openness, and of the local authorities, their wishes, their willingness to develop competitiveness, and understanding this readiness and openness, investors will be able to make decision, and thus this will allow to develop the competitiveness in the regions properly. Further on, this will allow the central bodies like Anti-Monopoly Committee in Ukraine to make decisions, more informed decisions about distortions in the competitive policy and how this is properly applied. And also, all the governmental bodies will be able to assess the situation looking at this rating. And now I would like to give the floor to Ms. Kim Kimai, Deputy Director of the Economic Growth Office of USAID.
Morning. Доброго ранку. I'm delighted to be here today. I know we're all looking forward to hearing about how the first year of the Municipal Competitiveness Index went and how we can learn from it. And of course, we all want to know the rankings. Underscoring the MCI is its ability to provide real feedback to mayors and other local officials on how their policies are working, answering the critical question of, are our policies helping or hindering businesses? We want to know. In 2018, the year before I moved to beautiful Ukraine, Jeff Bezos, you may have heard of him, of Amazon, held a competition to find a place for its second headquarters, called HQ2. Many cities across America courted Mr. Bezos. They created a bidding war. That competition forced many cities to look at a variety of factors that would entice HQ2 to locate there. They looked at local universities that would provide the needed talent, to the city's transportation structure to get people to and from work, to, of course, tax incentives. I lived just outside of Washington, D.C., where a nearby city was one of those hoping to attract HQ2. There were many meetings, I remember them, and discussions between the city leaders and the local community, all who had various opinions on what should be done to get HQ2 there. Well, I'm pretty sure there won't be an HQ3 anytime soon. This is a great snapshot of how the MCI, a tool based on high-quality data, can help create an environment that could entice businesses to move or start in your city, maybe become the next Amazon. MCI is a sophisticated and well-thought-out instrument that can enhance awareness and build confidence of the quality of the business environment at the municipal and national levels. It can identify actions to improve that business environment. And we hope that by openly discussing the data collection process and the MCI results, there will be greater interaction between municipal government leaders, the business community, and other stakeholders, all rallying together to improve the business climate, just as they did during the search for HQ2. And it doesn't hurt, of course, to have a little friendly competition with the city rankings. But honestly, the ranking doesn't really matter. It's the commitment and willingness of the local governments to use the MCI findings in their planning and design of new regulations that should ultimately streamline business processes. And here, I want to give definite recognition to the 5 pilot municipalities participating in the MCI improvement program, who improved their scores in the rating by implementing best practices and, critically, embracing positive changes. We're happy to expand the MCI improvement program to 5 new municipalities and hope that they will also take advantage of this opportunity to improve their business environments. We encourage you to use the MCI as a way to engage more with the private sector. To understand what businesses need and what challenges they face, we need to hear directly from them. The MCI can create this collective voice that will lead to pro-business policies. One happy outcome of the MCI is the MCI Intercity Working Group. This collaborative working group is promoting knowledge sharing and dialogue between cities. This type of healthy and constructive exchange is exactly what we hope for. It's sustainable because we can all grow together by learning together. Ukraine clearly prioritizes competitiveness of its businesses, constantly seeking to better integrate into the world economy, introducing new incentives for domestic and foreign investment. The MCI and its offshoots, the Improvement Program, and the Intercity Working Group are tools available to you, and we encourage you to take advantage of what it has to offer, because we believe that by working together, we can all make a difference in Ukraine's overall business environment, leading to greater jobs and ultimately Ukraine's economic growth. Дякую.
Thank you very much, Kim Kim. Дуже дякую, пані Kim Kim. Зараз я запрошую до...
Thank you, Ms. Kim Kim Yi. Now I'm inviting Mr. Semchishin, Mayor, who will describe how they participated and contributed to the rating. Oleksandr, can you hear me? We cannot hear you. Can we? Yes, now we can hear you. Good morning, dear guests. Good morning, dear colleagues. I would like to thank to the USAID and to the Competitive Economy of Ukraine program for this very useful initiative. MCI and last year we were the winners, the leaders in MCI, and this allowed us to analyze the business climate in our city. This methodology, this tool is extremely useful. Although we try to communicate with businesses regularly, we have created even joint bodies, working groups with businesses. But with this project, we were offered a new methodology, which allowed us a new vision, and this made our work, our decision-making more quality, more high quality. On the other hand, we found out where we had omissions and where our work was insufficient, and learned lessons and took necessary steps to correct that. And from June 2020, we are able to use that tool and even get some benefits from our leading position in the last year briefing. And this allows us to demonstrate who we are. And this year, we have got appreciation from the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, and in that appreciation and that rating, our position in ICU mattered, and that's why I'm very happy with our results and with our work during this 6 months. We were able to share our best practices and to exchange with best practices with those municipalities which had better results in other aspects than we. This allowed us to look broader at what we are doing, and I believe this is a powerful tool. Of course, when it comes to investors, to business development, we are all competitors with other municipalities. But on the other hand, we can unite our efforts, and because we are interested in economically well-developed Ukraine, you may count on our support. Thank you. Now I would like to invite the mayor of Krapomnitsky, Mr. Rikosh. Good morning, dear participants. I'm happy to welcome you from Krapomnitsky, which is in the very heart of Ukraine. I would like to thank the USAID team for assessment, for evaluation of our effort and our contribution. We are happy with our position in the index. Now we are among the leaders. This is recognition of our efforts. On the other hand, we can see what we need further. Quite recently, we were happy to accept here a team chaired by Mr. Anderson, and now we try to analyze our indices in each aspect, in each field of the program. The team of experts had demonstrated to us our results and helped us to understand where we have to make changes in our policy and to improve our results and to do our job better. I hope that our Center for Delivery of Administrative and Social Policies services, which was opened a year ago, demonstrated to you how successful it is, and we have made now new decision about those areas in our work which requires improvement, and perhaps we will even submit some requests about changes and amendments in the policies to central government. We now are able to understand how local businesses approach to the regional needs, what do they require from us, and how they're able to lose interest if our work appears to be improper or imperfect from their point of view. And while we want them to come to our area and to become taxpayers in it. So perhaps you were able to find how open we are when we see those investors who are interested to come to our region. And we also were able to understand what we need to do to pave the way for development of local businesses. We understand the importance of the middle class in development of our territory, of our municipality. And I wish much success to USAID Ukraine program, and I believe that those parts of your program which contribute to the development of Ukrainian economy and come to the regions are good school for us, and they offer many lessons that we can learn, and this inspires us for further work. Thank you for this very good partnership. Now I'm inviting the mayor of Ternappel to the microphone. Good morning, dear colleagues. I'm happy to welcome the project team and the USAID team here today. First of all, I would like to thank you, USAID, for all that useful results that we had gained and from which we have benefited much. Your index had become very useful for the local self-government bodies, and not only the self-governance officials, but also businesses were able to look at the results, at the rating, and to understand what should be done and what can be done to create better environment for the businesses. And of course, there is in the nature of which local government to develop the local business, and because we are very much interested. And due to the rating, we were able to see those aspects, those spheres where we were losers or we were not at the best level among others comparatively to other municipalities. And we have got much information for our entrepreneurship development program, entrepreneurship development policy in our city. We understood that we should devote more attention to creation of electronic services in our city to decrease the red tape and to strengthen the level and quality of information that we provide to businesses. And we are very grateful for these lessons that we learned from the index. So this, we came to conclusion that despite the exact position of our municipality in your index, nevertheless, the results are very useful for us because it allows us to understand the quality of our work. That's why we support very much extension of this practice, I mean the index, and it also brings together mayors of many cities where we can discuss how we can improve the well-being of our compatriots at the local level, at the national level also. Thank you for this partnership and cooperation. Thank you, Sergey. Now I'm inviting Mr. Sukhamlin, Mayor of Zhytomyr. Good morning, everybody. And of course, first of all, I would like to thank for the opportunity to participate in this program. The Zhytomyr's position in this index allows us to see the space for further improvements. Actually, the decentralization reform puts on us more responsibility for the human resources and delivery of resources. Of course, we are competitors with our neighbors. I mean, Zhytomyr, Rivne, Ternappel, etc. Here in Ukraine, we all are competitors for investors in Ukraine. But when we realize that altogether we're competing with neighboring countries, with Polish mayors, Czech Republic's mayors, for the investors, in this case, we understand that that we should work together as Ukrainian mayors trying to attract investors to Ukraine. And I believe that the number of participants in this index could be increased, and this will be very beneficial for mayors of those cities in a short-term perspective. Our positions in index allowed us to get united in Zhytomyr and mobilize Zhytomyr and attract big investors, and this allowed us to attract more than 1 million FDI to Zhytomyr, and a bit less of indirect investments. So when we look at the index results, we are able to pay attention on tiny local investors who also bear good potential. For example, in Zhytomyr, we realized that due to cumbersome coordination procedure allowing to open a small street cafe took up to 6 months, and in result of the index we understood that that could be improved and bring a lot of benefits. And now, developing the programs in our city, we can better think about financial and other incentives for businesses. And this in its turn allows us to offer new services to our citizens, which in general is able to increase competitiveness in the city. Sergey, дякую for your thank you for your intervention. Now, the floor goes to Mr. Ocheretny, Mayor of Deputy Mayor of Vinnytsia. Good morning, dear colleagues and guests. I fully agree with all the previous speakers that the MCI is very useful. It allows us to compare the results from the previous year with today's results and understand better what we are doing improperly these days and what we should do for the future. I can see that foreign investors started to approach to us last year. We had started construction of a big plant which will bring 85 million euros of investments to Vinnytsia. Also, the Council of Enterprises or Leaders of Enterprises was re-elected last year. This brought a new impetus to the discussion what the businesses of our city need. And today we are developing a new program to come out of the period of pandemic. Specifically, we are targeting creation of new jobs. Keeping in mind the results of the index this year, we had drafted the strategy for big Vinnytsia development for the next 10 years. And actually, this index allows us to take best practices from the neighboring regions. This last month, we had many delegations from Lviv, Mariupol, Odessa, and other cities who visited us to study our best practices and to share their best practices, how they work with investors. We try to create best conditions here in Vinnytsia to businesses to prevent outflow of them to the neighboring countries. Thank you. I have just received a message that the mayor of Chernihiv will be unable to join, but instead of him, we will have Ms. Yulia Zhuravleva, who is chairman of the Investment Policy Department. Good morning, dear colleagues. Happy to welcome you from the north of Ukraine, from Chernihiv. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to participate in that index. The results of the index allows us to understand the markers, where we are and what we should improve. This allowed us to understand that we are moving in where we are moving in right direction and where corrections of the policies needed. And actually today we had already started to implement the advice of your projects experts. We had created the investment passport for our city. We are developing the map of businesses in Chernihiv, in Big Chernihiv, and we have called together our entrepreneurs to develop the perspective vision, entrepreneurial view of a city up to 2030. I would like to emphasize that the USAID project and the work of working group which brings together the cities should be extended because thus we are able to do that piece of work, that amount of tasks which is not covered by legislation of Ukraine and for which the money are not allocated at the level of legislation. But this work is very much needed. So I would like to thank you once again and say how much we're interested in extension of our joint cooperation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Yulia. We were very happy to work with you, and we believe that we have much to do and that we will continue to work together. Now we will start presentation of the MCI, and then we will have Ms. Kuziakiv and Mr. Savchuk. Please show me the presentation. I would like to remind you what does the MCI mean. This is the analytical tools which allows to understand the efficiency of local self-governance, understand the obstacles for successful development of business climate at the local level. This is needed for local businesses because through this tool they may express their opinion, what is helpful for them in the municipal policy, what creates obstacles for them, and thus local authorities are able to understand what they are doing right or wrong. We do not hear you. The sound had disappeared. Now we can hear you. Local businesses need this as a possibility to express their opinion and assess the overall economic work of local authorities. For local authorities, in its turn, this is a possibility to assess the quality of their work. For the government of Ukraine, this might be useful to see what best local practices could be scaled up to the national level. Also, this would allow the central authorities understand what are the biggest obstacles at the local level and maybe correct some national policies. And for investors, it is a good opportunity to see which cities are most favorable for investments. The index is rather complicated. It comprises 10 components, foundation of a business. This reflects the easiness to register new business and ability to start entrepreneurial activity. Access to the municipal properties. This reflects how easily you can get a land plot, a municipal land plot, and other real estate properties to run your business. The next item, openness of data. This reflects how the municipality implements the law on open data and how it is accessible for business. The next item is about the expenses or the cost of compliance. That is, how much money should be spent to comply with all the rules and regulations. Then the next item is about local taxes and the administration of local taxes. The next aspect is about corruption, whether there are any bribes or kickbacks at the municipal level. And the next aspect is about local anti-corruption practices, how they are applied. The next question was about the business running security, that at the level of crime or raidership or forced mergers, so all sorts of threats for the businesses. The next question was about the level of support from local authorities to businesses and about public dialogue with it. The next component is about the human resources available is about resources in general, about human resources, infrastructural resources, and financial resources. And also this reflects the business support infrastructure. That is about advisory and consultancy centers for businesses supported by local authorities. The next component is about innovations support and demonstrates how much local administration is preoccupied with the support of innovations. Now I invite Dmytro, and he will characterize the respondents. I will speak more about methodology. This year we covered 45 municipalities in Ukraine, including 24 centers of the oblast, 24 regional centers, and 21 municipalities bigger than 23,000 of residents. That is, we covered all the territory of Ukraine from north to south, from east to west, except the occupied territories of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast. We covered all the registered businesses, excluded all the NGOs and governmental enterprises, and having formed a sample like this, we disseminated a questionnaire and conducted a survey based on the components which were described by Arseniy. Then our colleagues from the Institute of Economic Research and Political Consultancy collected that data about economic development and made that analysis. So we analyzed data that arrived from the directors of enterprises, and the gender balance was just like the previous year. The majority of respondents were micro enterprises, up to 85%, then small size enterprises and medium enterprises. We questioned the municipal enterprises which work in the cities, and the mostly represented sector was sales, telecommunication services, manufacturing, construction, and real estate sector. Thank you, Dmytro. And now I invite Ms. Oksana Kuziakiv, Executive Director from the Institute of Economic Research and Political Consultations. I would better go to the rostrum because my presentation will take quite a time, up to 25 minutes. Good morning, everybody. Can I see my slides? And now I believe that you will see the most interesting or intriguing part of our presentation about new leaders, about new winners, and what had changed in the index. But before doing that, I would like to characterize in more detail what was done and comment on the results. This year, calculating the MCI we decided to produce two ratings. The first rating is a rating of 24 regional centers plus Kyiv. These are the same regional centers which participated in the index last year. Because if we wanted to compare the previous year results and this year results, we need to have this opportunity for comparison. That's why we had picked up the regional centers from the previous year and from this year, and I will start my presentation from this first group of municipalities. And the second rating was covering 45 municipalities of Ukraine. This is a new result. This is a new rating, and irrespectively of the municipality size or geography, it is now able to compare its results with the neighbors. And I have to warn you, please do not compare municipalities from this rating 45 with the municipalities in rating 24 and with the previous year, because this year we used a bit different criteria and a bit different characteristics. And we also this is due to the fact that we had received insufficient answers to our questions, which does not allow us to demonstrate the sufficient picture. So, as I already mentioned, first I will introduce the rating of 24 municipalities, which are regional centers, and I immediately would like to say that the leader here is again Khmelnytsky municipality. Khmelnytsky municipality, my congratulations to you, to your team in the rating 24. Khmelnytsky has got the first position. Perhaps those in the room are not able to see properly, but those who watch us on internet can see the slide better. And for you, it's obvious that the municipalities in green, they are leaders. Municipalities in yellow, they are performing 50-50, while municipalities in red require further work. So leaders are Khmelnytsky, Ternappel, Ivano-Frankivsk, Lviv, Vinnytsia, and Chernihiv. Actually, this is the same that we had last year. Before going to the map, I would like to comment that, like last year, this year, again, we see the big gap between the leader and the last municipality in now the difference is, although it is again twice as much for the leader, but nevertheless it is smaller. It is which means that the difference between leaders and the backbenchers, so to say, is smaller and is becoming more and more smaller. Look at our map. In Western Ukraine, investment climate is more favorable, and in Northern Ukraine we have Chernihiv region, and in the south the situation is worse. It is in red. This slide shows the municipalities' results and positions and comparison of the points that they had gained this year. In more detail, the municipalities can see the achievements, the results in the second part of our index, where they have the individual profiles for each city and compare their performance last year and this year. This year, 13 municipalities had improved their results in MCI. And in this context, Kherson and Kyiv are the best, and Lutsk, Ternappel, Sumy, and Krapomnitsky had improved their results strongly too. The number of cities who are in yellow also become broader. Now we have 14 municipalities whose total amount of points gained in the survey is higher than 50, which is good, which is normal result, so to say. Last year we had only 13 municipalities. The average score for these 24 cities is approximately at the same level, a bit less than from the previous year, but there are some trends which we observe and believe they could be negative. No one of indicators in our survey went higher than 7 points. Last year we had just one such item. In general, we observe improvement in the business running security and also in the item cost of compliance. It is higher. I also would like to share some of my observations about indexes or items which contribute to the results of our index.
We have chosen these observations from each component. Registration, state registration of business, 6.5 days. Last time it was 6.1. Getting the documents for land lease. 63.4 doesn't change much. Then access to public procurement, it became more transparent. 23 before it was 17.3. 23% is not enough to say that access to public procurement is fully transparent for business, and we should pay attention to this. Local regulations implementation. 4 days before, now 5, so the adherence to legislation in the sphere deteriorated, and we see why. From the other side, for tax payment, business spends less. 51.7 days before, we had 58.6 days. I believe that this is connected with the fact that the majority of the surveyed persons are representative of micro business, and they got significant state support in the course of quarantine. They didn't pay single social contribution, and maybe this is one of the reasons. Stability is in corruption. 10.5% faced corruption, and 31.9% know about anti-corruption programs, nearly the same last year, 9.9% and 31.8%. Raiders and radar attacks, 2.7%. Last year it was 2.5%. Connection to the electric network, 83.5. Before we had 85, and where we had better positions, and this is for dessert, this is a 31% of the survey believe that local government has a very good attitude to business, and this is big improvement because previously we had 20%. And this is a really good contribution from the part of the local government, because during the last year, local power, they really helped the business in the course of the quarantine. And our dear colleagues from the cities may say what they did that improved this assessment so much. This is what we wanted to say about the rating of 24 cities, and now we go to the rating 45 biggest cities of Ukraine and their competitiveness. Once again, there is no intrigue. I will mention the winner, and here in 2021, in the rating of 24 cities of Ukraine, the first place is taken by Khmelnytsky city. Once again, we greet Khmelnytsky, and we would applaud if we had more people here. Khmelnytsky city is the first one. This is double winner this year. And last year, Khmelnytsky also was the first. So this is absolute champion of competitiveness based on the results of this rating, and we greet Khmelnytsky with it. You see the rating on the slide, 45 cities, and I will comment. Green are cities with a high index, and between 11th and 12th place is the big difference. And then 25 cities that are yellow. This is enough level, but they are not homogeneous. And red ones are those that have biggest home task. They should improve themselves significantly. I will mention these 11 cities that are with the highest level of competitiveness index. This is first place Khmelnytsky, Ivano-Frankivsk, Lviv. then oblast, first oblast centers, next cities and Ost Oblast centers. This is Mukachevo, Bakhmut, Ternappel, Vinnytsia, and then Mariupol, Oleksandr, Melitopol, and Chernihiv. And these cities have the highest level of the index. And now the map. So it looks like for the cities of the rating of 24. And here we see that green color, this is the best competitiveness index. And we see that there is many cities are in the center, in the south, and Bakhmut and Mariupol in the east. They entered this highest index, and this is a very good result for those who work in the territories that are close to the front line. The next slide. I would like to show, but I cannot do this. Oh, I've managed it. I may show the leaders of the components. Here there are many cities. I won't mention all of them. The only thing I would like to mention, and here we have statistics. In the previous rating, maybe I will show it to you. And here we have 27 cities out of 45 that are in top 6 due to at least one component. So this is a very good result. Each city has something to be proud of and to show something of value to others. Khmelnytsky, of course, because this is absolute leader 6 times, Vinnytsia 5 times, Bakhmut, and this is a pleasure. This is not Oblast Center, this is the city in Donetsk Oblast 5 times, Nikopol 4 times, Mukachevo 4 times, and Mariupol also 4 times. So they have something to be proud of. Also about oblasts. This indicator is useful not only for the city councils, but also for oblasts. 4 cities that we studied under the leaders of the component in Khmelnytsk, Dnipropetrovsk, in Donetsk Oblast, Dniprovsk 3 places, Khmelnytsky 2 places, Zakarpattia Oblast 2 cities, and Sumska Oblast 2 cities, Zakarpatska 2. So there is experience they can share and things they are may be proud of. So what prevents the development of business? We need to see the problem, and business is the main consumer of all regulations and changes in the business climate. So about the obstacles, we asked about obstacles for business, about 22, and here is the rating of 10. We do not compare this data with the previous year, but I believe that the researchers may do this comparison if they read our report. You may do it quantitatively, but we cannot do it, in fact, because the reality we face now is really different. And we had to include one more obstacle. This is influence of COVID and quarantine. And this took the first place in the rating. That's why we cannot compare the situation with the previous years. These are the biggest top obstacles. So first, epidemic of coronavirus, 43%, low demand, 33%, the high taxes, 30%, And also mayors spoke about it, that conditions should be created for people in order that they worked in Ukraine. And lack of working force 23, lack of funding 17%. So this is not the main problem for Ukrainian business climate. Corruption of local power, not a big problem, 13%. Complexity of legislation, 13%. Military actions in the east, 10%. Complicated procedures, 10%. And high value of raw materials and spare parts, 9%. This is maybe connected with quarantine. I may mention two things concerning the map. Here we have oblast centers and two obstacles that are in the among the leaders. Red ones, this is about COVID, and this is about oblast centers, excluding one place. This is Severodonetsk. Here, the biggest obstacle for business is war. And this differentiates the city from others, and this should be taken into account. About other cities, nearly in all the cities, the second place is lack of consumption, and with the exclusion of the biggest cities of Ukraine, including Poltava. These are in blue. Kiev, Odessa, Poltava, so here they face high taxes for business. Also, Uzhgorod, second place, lack of qualified workers in the Western Oblast. They face this problem more than others, but of course there is such a problem in all the cities. And business is really important, and perception of business and their plans are of importance. So what are the plans of Ukrainian business for 2 years perspective? Plans are optimistic, and this is really great. Ukrainian business, they remain very optimistic. 46% said that they want to expand their business activity. Only 4% plan to decrease, and 5% will close. 37 is the balance between these expectations. So 45%, they want to remain their business as it is. So they have, despite all the problems, business feels prospects and wants to move forward. And at the end, I would like to say that our results, why they are important, they confirm the simple thing that typical problems in supporting of competitiveness, they are in all the cities, big and small ones, despite geography. But every city has something to be proud of. 27 out of 45 cities, they entered the top in some components. So they have something to be proud of. And successful examples from each city, they will show us how all the country will be able to improve competitiveness and to become more wealthy and prosperous. So we should only work more. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Oksana, for this wonderful presentation and for this optimism concerning plans of Ukrainian business. And now we go to the last part of our presentation. And I'm going to briefly speak about the results of the program of improvement of index of competitiveness of cities for the next year that are planned for USAID project concerning competitiveness in Ukraine.
As for the results, the practical phase of the program was started in March. We had chosen 5 pilot municipalities: Krapomnitsky, Mykolaiv, Sumy, Ternappel, Chernihiv, and 4 out of that 5 municipalities considerably improved their index this year. We provided those municipalities with expert support. Also, we analyzed the MCI of the same municipalities in 2019-2020, and that analysis of the weaknesses, strengths in each indicator allowed us to produce efficient recommendations. Now we are working with the municipalities on roadmaps, how to improve the most weakest indices. Those municipalities which took MCI results and based their political decisions on the MCI, they obviously demonstrated some successes. Also, we reviewed the gaps in local policies. We analyzed what worked, what did not work. We looked at transparency of data. And some municipalities like Chernihiv have already made some improvements in data collection and presentation. This immediately improved their results. The next 5 pilot municipalities are selected for the next period. These are Zhytomyr, Zaporizhzhia, Poltava, Rivne, and Kherson. And at the next stage, we will focus on these municipalities. Also, I would like to point out to the Intra-Municipal working group. We are happy that 30 municipalities had joined us. We had presented best practices based on the previous survey, and the work of this group inspired us to create the platform of this working group. You see the link. This is how it looks. Now we have representatives from 38 municipalities, 16 best practices, and 4 joined business community that joined the platform. We encourage you to join the platform and participate in our meetings, online meetings. So our further steps, further work with the new 5 municipalities for the extended pilot project. Also, in future, we plan to extend the program to 10 more municipalities in 2021. We will start in September, then in October add 10 more municipalities, and in late October, in November, we will start our work with the new participants, which will be chosen as program participants. I would like to thank all the stakeholders for today's presentation, and I'm happy to welcome new municipalities. Now you see our contacts on the screen, and we invite you to address to us. Today, we will publish the entire index, and reports will be on our Facebook page and on the